Hey guys, it's Linda here, and we have kind of an exciting day. As you can see behind me, we're starting to set up our shelves. We have some jars here that are going to contain some herbs, a whole, spread of them here, and I still don't think it's actually going to be enough. I think I'm going to need a few more jars. But we're starting to accumulate things. Simple, extracts and things, black walnut oil, things like honey, and extra jars. So we've got a lot of things going. This is one of the first things I've made, some honeysuckle tincture. And I also, to accompany it, have honeysuckle oil that I made as well. And I'm really excited about this because I want to be able to use these as some sort of preservative so that I can keep my products all natural. So I'm really excited about that. They say to keep the oil in the sun. I'm not sure about that. Ask one person, they say one thing. Ask another, they say another.
Now, what about the labels on the front of those?
So the labels...
You made those labels.
I did. I actually made the labels. They don't actually sit like on the jar too well because these are not smooth-sided jars. But I've got on here the common name, the Latin name, and the medicinal uses. And in some cases, I also have precautions down at the bottom. As you can see, like with the hawthorn berry right here. I have the precautions listed down there at the very bottom.
May interact with vasodilating medications. Oh, man.
Yeah, something like that, yeah.
Jeez. Who's in that picture up there?
So, that is Tommy Bass. I found a picture of him on the internet, and I was able to print it out and mount it on a piece of aluminum. And I'm really excited. Of all the things that we have up here, as decoration, I'm kind of excited about the photo of Tommy Bass up there. Anybody who's an herbalist knows who Tommy Bass is. He was just a legend. And we also have next to it a coffee grinder. That coffee grinder belonged to my grandparents, and that was many, many moons ago. And this belonged to my other grandparent on my father's side, and just kind of an appropriate little Indian prayer there. Granted, I may not criticize my neighbor until I've walked a mile in his moccasins. I'm not sure exactly how Native American that is, but, sounds good. And, of course, we have some books over here. I have a small collection of books so far. But, the Peterson's Field Guide to Medicinal Plants. And these, which I was kind of excited about. I've already been through one of these, and you can see all my tabs on there and everything. Southeast Medicinal Plants. These are really good books. I really enjoy going through these. And then this is another one here. And I may talk about some of these books in a later one, but you can see I tabbed the hell out of this one. Body Balance. And this one, if you're interested in some of the things that have to do more with the human body and with anatomy and with the way that the body works, this one is a great one, because a lot of herbalists, the way they start out is not necessarily as a doctor or a nurse. Some of them start out not really knowing a lot about the human body, and that's where this one came into play. That one's a wonderful one for teaching you a little bit more about the body. And then, of course, the Holy Bible, which is always important to keep around. But we also have a few goodies on the table here. We have this entire pile of herbs, which I'm really excited about. Most of these came from Frontier Co-op. The only one that looks like it didn't was from Star West Botanicals. It still came from them. But plantain leaf is an important one. I'm really excited about having that. And then mullein. And we have our rose hips, which is going to go in quite a few of my formulations. And then for some reason we ended up with two things of calendula, which is a hell of a lot of calendula. So I'm not sure exactly why we ended up with two of those. We're going to investigate that later on. But, you never can have too much calendula.
Might have pushed the button twice, huh?
Maybe. I don't know. We'll have to check on that. Otherwise, it's just like a bonus calendula for some reason. And we got our stinging nettle.
Now, the stinging nettle, are you going to have to handle that with some kind of special gloves or something?
No. Once it's dried or heated, it doesn't actually sting you anymore. It's only the fresh leaves that sting you.
Because I remember walking through the woods near the cabin and stuff like that, and getting into patches of those in shorts.
Yeah,
And they weren't. It was not fun.
no, it definitely isn't. But I've heard that you can kind of build up an immunity to it. Supposedly, back in the old days, a lot of people used to take these sleeves and actually like smack themselves in the skin with it. And the reason being because they felt that it had some medicinal value. That it would kind of help rheumatism or arthritis or pain in the muscles and joints and that sort of thing. I'm not sure I'm gonna try that, but there are going to be times when I'm going to have to harvest the fresh stinging nettle, and then you have to actually do it kind of carefully. You have to wear nice thick gloves, handle it in a certain way, and make sure that it either gets dried or gets heated pretty quickly to get rid of all of those little stinging hairs that are all over it. And then we also have rosemary, which is a wonderful antioxidant. So a whole pile of silver foil bags here. I'm really excited about taking these and being able to get them into the jars, and so that it actually looks like I do something instead of pretending to do something. But I'm very impressed with the shipping. Really was happy with the way that things were shipped and the fastness, the quickness with which it was shipped, because they came like within a couple of days, and I thought this was the kind of thing that was going to have to it was going to take forever. But we also, another thing that I'm really excited about, because I have been grinding some herbs by hand. We have a KitchenAid spice grinder here. I don't know if you can kind of see it there. I think I've got it. Yeah, there we go. That's the KitchenAid spice grinder. It's the coffee and spice grinder is what it is. And it comes with these little cups. The cups go down in there. They twist lock into place. You put the herbs in. You cover it up. You put the top on. You push the top down, and it actually grinds the herbs for you. So I had been grinding these things, chopping these things, trying to do everything, kind of the manual way. It was taking forever. And of course, when you're trying to get a business going, time is money. So you want to do things in the most efficient way possible. And the great thing about the KitchenAid is that it comes with two of the little cups. So while I've got my hand on the grinder, with the other hand, I'm trying to fill this with herbs, right? So that I've got this one ready when this one is done grinding. And it really only took about maybe 10 seconds to grind up some honeysuckle buds. So I know there's going to be some things that are going to be a little more firm, that are going to take a little longer, but I'm really impressed so far with how well the KitchenAid spice and coffee grinder has done. Make sure you don't get just a coffee grinder. They're not quite powerful enough for herbal use. But got my digital scales here, and I've got a few things sitting around here and there. I've started collecting some beakers and things. Jeff was generous enough to actually purchase some beakers and a lot of these other things for me. And just to prove that I'm actually, trying to do things in a professional manner, I've got all these, this rainbow of binders down here. And some people may say, what's all that stuff for? Well, it's basically to track things, right? So I've got one that is going to include formulations, one that is more of a general production kind of binder. SOPs was just standard operating procedures. I've got one that is going to include information about equipment like warranties and user manuals. And of course, the KitchenAid manual went into there. And then I've got facilities maintenance and pests, like pest control. So I can track all of the maintenance that we do on whatever facility we have, and any pest control measures that we take. MSDS sheets. These are the material safety data sheets that you have to keep for any kind of material cleaning solutions. Anything that you may use has to go in there. And cultivation, which is not used right now, but eventually in the future we will be using the cultivation binder, because up at the property, back behind the post office, we plan on growing some of these herbs so that we no longer actually have to purchase them from other people in bulk. So
that's right. So this is our temporary headquarters here. For getting the business started, we spend most of our time here in Eastern Virginia.
We do.
So we had to start up here.
Here. Mm-hmm.
While we're working on the property up in the mountains.
Right. Yeah.
Getting that ready to go. And that's going to take like I said, in the distant future.
It will, because currently we don't have electricity up there, so, or running water. So those are some things that we have to work on before we can actually make more of a permanent move up to the mountains. But when we do, it's going to be great because we can go up there, set things up like we want. I may be able to have a little more of a commercial workspace than what I have here. And it's certainly a bigger workspace than this 4-foot stainless steel table. But, we can set things up the way that we want and still have plenty of room for all of the bulk herbs and supplies that are needed. And there is a lot of stuff. Like if you're thinking about starting an herb business, just know that there's a lot of money that has to go into this in order to, get from it what you want. You can start out with a few of the basic herbs and start making tinctures and start making things out of that. But there's going to be things that you have to invest in. And like the digital scales and like sanitizing solutions or, at the very least rubbing alcohol and of course, all of these herbs. So it's quite a bit, but it's going to be worth it. In the long run, I think it's going to be worth it. And yeah, we're really excited about the journey we're about to take.